Good evening and welcome to Spectrum Television News at 9. I am Uyai Anieka and come to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu swears in newly appointed ministers. Vice President Shettima departs Abuja for BRICS summit in South Africa. Plus, Zelensky arrives in Athens for meeting with EU Balkan leaders. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. First in the news tonight, President Bola Tinubu has charged the 45 newly inaugurated ministers of the Federal Republic to prioritize the interest and welfare of the entire nation and its diverse population above any regional or state-specific considerations. Speaking at the inauguration of new members of the Federal Executive Council, FEC, at the State House Conference Center, the President underscored the immense responsibility the ministers now bear in shaping policies that will significantly influence the lives of hundreds of millions of Nigerians. President Tinubu also urged them to serve Nigerians with integrity, dignity, and deliver on his renewed hope agenda to transform the nation's economy and ensure peace, safety, and prosperity for the people. The new ministers, who were reminded that they cannot disappoint Nigerians, pledged to serve with competence to actualize the renewed hope manifesto of the administration. President Tinubu had sworn in the new ministers in 9 batches with a promise to accelerate governing efforts to move the nation forward and fulfill the administration's best aspiration for Nigerians. In attendance at the ceremony were Vice President Kashim Shettima, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, Secretary to the Government of the Federation George Akume, and Chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum and Kwara State Governor Abdulaziz Abdurrahman, among other eminent personalities. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has directed the Minister of Labour and Employment, Simon Lalong, to immediately take over negotiations with the organized labour in order to arrive at amicable resolutions that will make workers overcome the current pains. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Simon Lalong, disclosed this while addressing the heads of parastatals and agencies under the ministry and staff immediately he assumed office. The minister also said that the administration of President Bola Tinubu shall not spare any effort to protect the Nigerian workers and guarantee their dignity at all times. along flanked by the Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Nkiruka Onyejeka, said under his stewardship that the ministry will fulfill its mandate of ensuring decent work for all Nigerians and making sure that citizens, particularly the youth and women, get opportunity to deploy their energy, creativity, talent and gifts to the development of the nation. He also assured that the government through the ministry shall work closely with the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), the Trade Union Congress (TUC) and their affiliates towards ensuring that all pending industrial disputes are settled amicably. In the meantime, newly sworn-in Federal Capital Territory FCT Minister Nyesom Wike today assumed office with a pledge to restore the city's master plan. Wike, who took his oath of office alongside 44 other newly appointed ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, gave the warning during a press briefing at the office of the FCT minister in Garki, Abuja today. The FCT minister said houses that had been built to distort the Abuja master plan as well as built on green areas will also be demolished, no matter who it did or did not belong to. He said land allottees who have been given certificate of occupancy but failed to develop would also lose their lands to give way to those ready to build.
I don't care whom you are. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you know. We must sanitize the place. I don't look at people's eyes. I don't know how you feel. My happiness is that the people of Abuja are happy. That's all. So, the Minister of State and myself are going to work to make sure we achieve this, that to make people now say, yes, Abuja has returned to what it's supposed to be. I don't care where you come from.
The minister said that development would also be extended to the 6 area councils as part of strategies to decongest the city.
Distorting the master plan of Abuja. Too bad, too bad. If you know you are built where you're not supposed to build, it will go down. It will go down. Be a minister of anywhere, be an ambassador. If you know you have developed where you're not supposed to develop, your house must go what? Down. Those who have taken over the green areas to build, sorry, our parks must come back. The green areas must come back. If you hate green, you must hate yourself. So if you know you have anybody who is involved that have taken over the green areas, have taken over the parks, to where you now do restaurants, no, we will not accept that. Sorry.
New leakages will be blocked to mobilize the needed resources for infrastructural development in the FCT. He solicited the support of all stakeholders, including the media, to restore the confidence of the people in President Bola Tinubu-led administration's drive to give people hope. Wike was accompanied to the briefing by the Minister of State, FCT Maria Mahmood, Permanent Secretary, Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA Adeshola Olusade. In a related development, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi-San today stormed the headquarters of the Federal Ministry of Justice in Abuja to assume his office. Fagbemi-San, who was sworn in as the 24th AGF, arrived at the ministry around 3 p.m. in his maiden interaction with officials of the ministry. The AGF said he was open to suggestions and criticism. Besides, the AGF warned that he would not condone any form of indiscipline or breach of protocol.
Well, not only my ministry, every ministry, the expectation of Nigeria or Nigerians is that you key into the hope agenda of Mr. President. Each ministry has a role to play. Coming to my ministry, we have to ensure that the rule of law, reform agenda of Mr. President keys appropriately into these area. And that is number one thing. Without rule of law, which simply means follow the rules, follow the regulations, nothing meaningful can be done. It is a veritable platform or foundation upon which development, meaningful development.
In the meantime, there was a mild drama at the Ministry of Interior today following attempts by security operatives attached to the new Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, to shut out journalists. Ministry officials and some of the minister's guests from the ministry's conference hall. The event, which was the minister's assumption of office, saw the Press and Public Relations Directorate struggling to take in journalists, succeeding only in paving way for 4. The situation got intense when the permanent secretary in the ministry, Oluwatoyin Akinlade, ordered security operatives to throw out journalists who she had duly invited for the event. After waiting for over 2 hours at the minister's waiting room to see the possibility of interviewing him on his blueprint for the ministry, most of the journalists then decided to stage a walkout. Tunji-Ojo, who was initially assigned to the new Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, had arrived at the old Federal Secretariat at about 2:20 p.m., more than 2 hours after the time advertised for the event. Elsewhere, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has emphasized the need to strengthen the economic reforms of President Bola Tinubu for rapid socio-economic development in Nigeria. Speaking after the assumed duty at the Federal Ministry of Finance in Abuja, Edun lauded the contributions of his predecessor to the growth of the economy. The Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister for the Economy maintained that though the policy is with the initial pains, which according to him would soon be a thing of the past, he stressed that all hands must be on deck to achieve this, noting that President Bola Tinubu has already set the ball rolling through key macro, monetary and fiscal policy measures which would soon yield the expected results.
To perform, the expectations of Nigerians are heightened. Mr. President has already set the ball rolling to put Nigeria on the course that will take it to rapid, sustained, and inclusive growth. He has taken key macro monetary policy measures and fiscal policy measures. He has changed the economy of Nigeria already. However, it has come with the initial pain that comes from correction. And it is our duty to help him to ensure that that pain is minimized and its period is shortened. That everything that can be done to help the most vulnerable, to help the poorest in society. When we look at the price of fuel, 617 per litre, look at the price of bread, already set the ball rolling.
While soliciting the support and cooperation of officers of the ministry, Edu emphasized the need to lift up to the expectation of the president and other Nigerians, noting that all hands must be on deck to help the needy and the vulnerable groups in the society. On his part, the Permanent Secretary Special Duties, Minister of Finance Okonkwo Udo, assured the Minister of the Cooperation and Supportive Staff of the ministry toward making the job easier for him.
That we have a job to do of making sure that these reforms do not leave people behind. You're all talented, you're good, there's huge talent here and there's huge expectation. I've had interaction, whether it's through the Presidential Transition Council, I've had interaction with finance, with the SGS office, in virtually the whole of the civil service in one way or the other. I've seen the ability to perform. I've seen the digitalization, the automation, and the use of technology. We have direct.
The minister was warmly received by senior officers and staff of the ministry. In a related development, Minister of Marine and Blue Economy Adegboyega Oyetola has said his vision for a thriving blue economy sector is to prioritize sustainability, innovation and economic growth. Oyetola disclosed this while he officially assumed office in Abuja today. He acknowledged the abundance of marine resources that exist within the coastal region and emphasized the need to fully harness them for economic gains. The minister announced that at the global level, blue economy is estimated at more than $1.5 trillion annually, urging stakeholders to seize the opportunity and become a significant player in the industry. Oyetola also called for collaboration and teamwork among all stakeholders and agencies, adding that teamwork would help maximize the benefits of Nigeria's vast coastal resources. He added that part of his vision is to ensure that inland rivers, lakes and waterways are well utilized, both in terms of cargo shipment and passenger transportation.
Experts say that the blue economy is estimated to be worth more than $3 trillion globally. Therefore, given our size as a country and considering the size of our blue economy, we should be a significant player in this sector so as to contribute immensely to the revenue generations of our country and provide jobs for the unemployed. We must come up with practicable ways of ensuring that our inland rivers, lakes, and waterways are well utilized, both in terms of cargo shipment and passenger transportation. And this can be done by embarking on a holistic dredging campaign for most of our strategically important inland waterways. So
The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace, Festus Keyamo, has pledged to boost economy through the sector. Keyamo made the pledge as he assumed office in Abuja today. He sought for cooperation among all staff of the ministry so as to achieve his vision for the sector. In another development, the Vice President Kashim Shettima has departed Abuja for Johannesburg, South Africa, to represent President Bola Tinubu at the 15th BRICS Summit of Heads of State and Government. Vice President Shettima will be joining other business and political leaders across the world at the summit scheduled for the Sandton Convention Center, Johannesburg, from August 22nd through the 24th. Notable leaders expected to attend the event include South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, President Xi Jinping of China, Brazil's President Luiz Lula da Silva, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. 73 dignitaries, including the Secretary General of the United Nations, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, and President of the New Development Bank, have also been invited. The summit is expected to deliberate on issues on trade and investment facilitation, sustainable development, innovation, and global governance reform. It will also continue its outreach to leaders from Africa and the global south as it focuses on global geopolitics, trade, and infrastructure development. BRICS, an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is a group of 5 major emerging and developing economies. The Vice President is accompanied on the trip by some senior government officials, and he is expected back in the country at the end of the week. Meanwhile, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu CON, has flagged off the Women ICT Training Empowerment Program organized by the Renewed Hope Initiative in collaboration with the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, a 5-day training specifically designed for women in the FCD. Noted that digital literacy is the way the world is going, and women should make good use of the opportunity of the training to improve their knowledge. Senator Oluremi Tinubu restated her determination and commitment to transform the lives of women in the country.
In digital literacy and digital economy. As we all know, digital economy is the platform you can use to do so many things. It's the one-stop shop where you can do so many things, from identification, payment, delivery, and all that. You can't even hit people on that platform. So you don't even need a store to operate from that platform. So it is economical when it comes to e-trading, e-commerce, and so many other things. So it is a platform that can be used to transform and change the narrative. It is a thing we can use to,
Earlier,
rearrange.
Aristotle Onyemechi, the Director of Corporate Planning and Strategy, NITDA, said it is the desire of his organization to build the capacity of youth in digital literacy to enhance the economic transformation of Nigeria. He noted that women are pivotal to this and hope the beneficiaries will become ambassadors of RHI and digital literacy in Nigeria.
Learn more about what we refer to as the gig economy. The gig economy has actually, be the greatest, the largest employer of labor, across all sectors now. And when they are empowered with these tools, digital tools, empowered with digital knowledge, they are able to play their key role in the area of gig economy, so that they can be self-reliant. They can even stay at home, for instance, for some of them, use their digital tools and also connect with the internet. Now, the world is like a global village, so there is no limit.
Participants expressed confidence that the training will empower them, boost their computer skills, and help them earn a living. Away from that, federal government today blamed poor implementation of successive budgets of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, on late submission and delayed approvals of proposals presented for such budgets. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of the Niger Delta Affairs, Shwaya Belgo, made the observation in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, where NDDC is engaging critical stakeholders on a two-day conference at fashioning out an implementable 2024 NDDC budget of shared input, interest and benefits. Represented by Alfred Awa, the ministry's Director of Planning and Statistics, Belgo, in a keynote address, said NDDC budgets over the years have been faced with challenges, including belated submission, delayed approvals, amongst others. He assured on the ministry's commitment to availing NDDC necessary assistance to ensure speedy approvals of coming budgets, charging the Commission to deepen stakeholders' engagement, be innovative and transparent towards right budgeting. Meanwhile, the federal government has disclosed plans to establish satellite seed testing laboratories in the 36 states of the Federation to enhance farmers' access to quality and certified seeds with a view to increasing agricultural yields. The Director of Seeds Inspectorate, National Agricultural Seeds Council, Bulus Sule, said the federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, was committed to ensuring that Nigerian farmers have access to and plant quality seeds that would give them the assurance of bumper harvest and huge earnings. Sule noted that through the satellite seed testing, the nation's gross domestic product would improve and in turn have a positive effect on the economy. From the Green Chambers, the Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on HIV, AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria, Amobi Oga, has urged the federal government to declare a state of emergency on malaria. Oga made the call in Abuja in a statement he issued to commemorate the 2023 World Mosquito Day. He stated that considering the threat malaria posed, even as it seemingly continued to defy solutions. In another development, the Kano State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has reserved judgment in the petition filed by the All Progressives Congress (APC) challenging the victory of Governor Abba Yusuf of the New Nigeria People's Party (NNPP). Justice Oluyemi Akinton Osadebe, the chairman of the three-man panel, who had promised on behalf of the panel to be fair to all parties, said the judgment would come earlier than the 180 days allowed by the law. The adjournment followed the final addresses by both parties. While making a final address to the court, the APC urged the tribunal to uphold its petition and return Nasser Gawuna as the winner of the election, while INEC, NNPP and Yusuf urged the tribunal to dismiss the petition. Meanwhile, the police command in Kano State has banned protest by political parties and their supporters. In politics, the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, joined hundreds of party members for a mega rally ahead of the local government elections in Edo State. Obi arrived around 1:30 p.m. at the Edo Baptist Convention ground where the event was held. Also in attendance was former Nigerian Bar Association President Olumide Akpata, who recently joined the party. In a separate development, Nigeria's state government has concluded plans to purchase gas operating vehicles for inter- and intra-city services across the state as part of the steps taken to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal by the federal government. The state governor Mohammed Umar Bago, who stated this at the official swearing-in of 60 commissioners and special advisors at the Justice Lego Kuti Hall in Minna today, also added that the transport fares would also be at a reduced cost. He pleaded with people of the states to be patient with the state government over the hardship faced, adding that efforts were on by his administration to provide palliative to mitigate their suffering. Bago called on the newly sworn-in members of the State Executive Council and the special advisors to always visit their locality and touch the lives of its people in more positive ways. Elsewhere, the administration of Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State has released the sum of 274 million naira as its counterpart fund payment to the state's International Fund for Agricultural Development and Value Chain Development Program, IFAD VCDP, to enable the project continue effectively in the state. The project, IFAD, is an international financial institution and a specialized agency of United Nations working to address the poverty and hunger and improve the ease of farming and bring sustainability in rural areas of developing countries. The Enugu State Program Coordinator of IFAD VCDP, Dr. Edward Ishiwu, who made this known to journalists in his office in Enugu, said that VCDP is a 6-year development initiative of the federal government of Nigeria program that focuses on supporting cassava and rice value chains for small farmers. According to Ishiwu, the amount released by Mbah was an implementation support to the agricultural sector and in particular the VCDP smallholder farmers to enable the state access more funds towards boosting food security and employment. Back here on the home front, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Omoino has pledged to establish a model primary healthcare center in Urefong and Ruko local government area. The state governor, who stated this while addressing the congregation at Methodist Church Nigeria, Eyulo Circuit Headquarters Diocese of Oyubia in Urefong and Ruko local government area, where he attended a church service, explained that the Arise Agenda blueprint of his administration, which takes development to the grassroots, seeks to better the lot of rural dwellers with quality infrastructure through the provision of conducive learning environment, excellent healthcare delivery systems, electricity, roads, affordable housing scheme, among others. Governor Eno hinted that his administration is building model primary healthcare centers across the state to complement the services provided by the secondary healthcare institutions built by the immediate past administration, explaining that primary healthcare centers cannot be dispensed with due to the services it renders to people being the first port of call for medical attention for the rural dwellers. On the palliatives to cushion effects of fuel subsidy removal, Governor Eno said that he is awaiting the reports of the special committee set up by the state government to work out modalities for the palliative distribution and inform the people that he is concerned with delivering the palliatives to the vulnerable people who have need for those items. Government House correspondent Jen Uwa reports that the governor said his decision to worship in churches outside Uyo, the state capital, people in each of the local government areas. In the meantime, the people of Ibionibom local government area of Akwa Ibom State have organized a reception ceremony in honor of the former special assistant to the immediate past president Muhammadu Buhari on Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Ita Solomon Enang. Our correspondent Esther Otoyo, who was at the event, completes the report.
Speaking at the reception ceremony of Senator Itainang, which was held at Ikpa Old Council Secretariat, Ibionibom Local Government Area, the Chairman Central Planning Committee, Royal Inyang, and the Chairman of the occasion, Nsima Umo, while describing Itainang as the best senator Uyo Senatorial District has ever produced, said the ceremony is to appreciate his contributions to the development of the LGA. Executive Chairman Ibionibom Local Government Area, Polycarp Edet, Senator Enang is described as the worthy ambassador of life to the LGA and has made the local government area proud by attracting the federal government presence into the area through project establishment and completion, including the Federal College of Education. In their goodwill messages, the member representing Itu and Ibiono Federal Constituency, Barrister Ime Okun, the paramount ruler Ibionibom Local Government Area, His Royal Majesty Edidemokuku Ime Inyang, and the Chairman TAF Media Group, owner of Planet FM, Spectrum Television, and Tangsio, Tony Afia, congratulated Senator Enang for his developmental projects and urged other political leaders to emulate the good works.
Enang has done so much for us. And that's why the traditional institution, Ibionibom Welfare and Development Union, have come together with all the people of Ibiono to appreciate him.
You see his achievements, what he has done. But most importantly, he has brought a federal institution to Ibionibom.
You see the Biakuran Road, he had to get a federal government contract to come in and fill in that place with a lot of chipping from Akampa. He has always been helping us. So he's a good friend to the state, he's a good friend. I know that he deserves even more than this. He has worked so much for the state.
Senator Itainang, in appreciation, said he was able to accomplish all the projects because of the support he received from the good people of Ibionibom. He promised to do more by partnering with the state government to ensure that the Calabar-Itu Express Road project is completed.
When you go on a political service, don't think of what to eat or what you make out of it. Think of what you give back to the people. Because, so for somebody to be in political office, he should be more than what to eat. It is about service to the community.
Senator Itainang was the former senior special assistant to the president, Niger Delta Affairs, advisor in presidential liaison to the National Assembly from 2015 to 2020. And a member of the House of Representatives for 12 years. He was also a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a member of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, and a councillor to Local Government Legislative Council. Senator Enang has piloted and attracted federal educational and non-educational presence to the state through projects such as creation of the Federal Polytechnic Ukana, among others. The event was climaxed with presentation of gifts to the chairman, TAF Media Group, Tony Afia. In Ibionibom, Esther Otoyo, Spectrum News.
Still to come in the news. Gas prices rise on fears of strikes in Australia. Stay tuned for details of this and more after this time out. Thanks for staying tuned, and now we move to the rest of the news stories. In Africa, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has rejected Niger junta's 3-year power transition plan. ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security Abdel Fattah Musa stated this during an interview with newsmen. Recall that the head of the military junta in Niger Republic, General Abdourahmane Tichani, had said he would relinquish power within 3 years and warned that any intervention by foreign forces would not be a walk in the park. He stated this in a televised address that their ambition is not to confiscate power, as their transition period will not exceed 3 years. According to him, there's availability for any dialogue provided that it takes into account the aspirations of the people of Niger. In a related development, Ghana's biggest trade union body has warned against military intervention to reverse the coup in Niger. According to the Trade Unions Congress, constitutional order could be re-established in Niger through diplomacy if ECOWAS leaders engage the military junta in good faith. It will be recalled that the West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS had threatened military action against the military junta, which overthrew President Mohamed Bazoum last month. The junta has proposed a 3-year transition to civilian rule, but ECOWAS has rejected it. The regional bloc has also imposed sanctions on Niger. Traders in Ghana say they are now experiencing difficulties in importing vegetables such as onions from Niger, and that prices have increased. Still in Africa, Somalia has announced a ban on social media platforms TikTok and Telegram and the online betting platform OneXBet. The government says the platforms were being used by terrorists and groups responsible for spreading immorality, to spread graphic clips, photos and mislead society. It comes as Somalia announces an ambitious target to crush the Al-Shabaab militant group, which still controls large swaths of the country, within the next 5 months. According to the Ministry of Communications and Technology in a statement, Internet service providers are required to implement the ban by 24th of August or face unspecified legal action. Meanwhile, a recent conference on Internet and social media security in the capital, Mogadishu, highlighted the negative impact of online platforms on young people, including causing some of them to lose their lives. Meanwhile, King Mohammed VI of Morocco has pardoned more than 650 people convicted of various crimes, some of them terrorist-related. The move marks the 70th anniversary of an event known as the Revolution of the King and the Nation. The occasion is intended to highlight the country's liberation from colonialism. In the meantime, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has reiterated that his country will not be drawn into global power dynamics. Ramaphosa's televised address came ahead of the meeting of the BRICS nation Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa in Johannesburg on Tuesday. He noted that his decision does not mean that the country is neutral on matters of principle and national interest. On the foreign scene, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today landed in Athens for an official visit and will later join an informal dinner with EU and Balkans leaders. Greece has been a strong supporter of Ukraine since Russia's invasion, providing humanitarian aid and weapons including infantry fighting vehicles and Kaskov assault rifles. Zelensky's visit came after Kiev announced advancement near the war-battered eastern town of Bakhmut over the weekend. Still on the foreign scene, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that the Netherlands will give Ukraine 42 F-16 fighter jets. The president made this known after his visit to the country to meet with Prime Minister Mark Rutte. However, the Dutch Prime Minister said the Netherlands owns 42 F-16s and he would look into how many could be supplied to Ukraine. Reports say F-16s are a single-engine, multi-role jet aircraft which can be used in air-to-air or ground attack missions. Meanwhile, former U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed that he will not take part in Republican presidential debate with his rivals in the race for the White House. The former president said the latest poll showed he had legendary numbers ahead of other hopefuls to be the party's nominee for the 2024 elections. According to reports, the first Republican presidential primary debate will be on the 23rd of August. Voting in the Republican primary election begins in the state of Iowa on the 15th of January 2024. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Davina Praise Oman.
Thank you, Uyai. Good evening. It is business news. My name is Davina Praise Omang. In the news, the prospect of a possible strike at a liquefied natural gas LNG plant in Australia has pushed wholesale gas prices up in Europe. The Offshore Alliance Union warned that a strike at the Northwest Shelf facility could start as early as September 2nd if no deal on pay is reached. Benchmark gas prices for the EU and UK rose around 10% today, according to reports. Prices soared after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but have since fallen. There are fears that strike action at Woodside Energy Group's Northwest Shelf facility could cause disruption to shipments of LNG from Australia, which is a key global supplier. In Nigeria, petrol consumption in Nigeria dropped in July by 19.95% month-on-month following the removal of fuel subsidy by President Bola Tinubu. According to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority's report for the month of July 2023, Nigerians consumed 52 million liters daily. This contrasts the 64.96 million liters per day recorded in June of the same year, indicating a decline of 12.96 million liters per day within 1 month. Meanwhile, fuel subsidy has been cited as one of the factors encouraging smugglers to smuggle petrol out of Nigeria to sell at unapproved prices in other African countries. While the revenue from the smuggled fuel cannot be accounted for by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, said the federal government is placing its 77 trillion naira debt burden on manufacturers through high and multiple taxes. In the association's first quarter Manufacturers CEO Confidence Index, the group said the government was using the manufacturers to generate revenue to repay its debt. According to MAN, its members are bearing the brunt of the debt piled up by the government, stating that the federal government's desperation to increase revenue and spending is crowding out private sector investment. Nigerian stock market report. It is the beginning of a new week and a total of 231.599 million shares in 5,494 deals, corresponding to a market value of 3.992 billion naira were traded. The benchmark all-share index moved up 458.45 basis points to close at 65,204.41 points. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 35.5 trillion naira. In the aggregate, 117 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 31 gainers and 15 losers. John Holt led the gainers with 9.66% share price appreciation, closing at ₦1.59 per share. Tantalizers came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 10% at 36 kobo per share. Transcorp Nigeria recorded the highest volume of 36.8 million traded shares. And this is all on business news. Back to Uyai and Yekan for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Devina Praise. Still to come in the news. Minister of Sport resumes at Moshood Abiola Stadium office. Stay tuned for details of this and more after this time out. Thanks for staying tuned. To complete the news tonight, our health stories, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has identified irrational use of antibiotics, low educational level of caregivers, and the health insurance status of patients, among others, as factors contributing to antimicrobial resistance, AMR. According to the NCDC, the impact of AMR is particularly felt by vulnerable patients that might be unable to bear the associated higher cost or worsened illness, ultimately resulting in greater disability and increased mortality. The NCDC noted that they can between people and animals, including from food of animal origin. It further said the main drivers of antimicrobial resistance are the misuse and overuse of antimicrobials and lack of access to clean water, sanitation and hygiene wash for both humans and animals. Over now to Isaac for the latest sports stories.
Well, thank you very much. In sports, the newly appointed Jesus Christ. Oh, thank you very much. In sports, the newly appointed Minister of Sports, Senator John Ino, visited his office at the MKO Abiola Stadium shortly after he was sworn in as Nigeria's 36th sports minister. The fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu separated the youth ministry from the sports ministry led to the senator to resume at the Moshood Abiola Stadium pending when a new office will be completed. All the newly created ministries are affected and will resume only when the offices are completed. The minister, when arrived at the stadium earlier today, spent a few minutes before leaving to resume again in the same office tomorrow. While in England, Manchester United forward Mason Greenwood will leave the club by mutual consent after a 6-month internal investigation into his conduct. Greenwood was arrested in January 2022 following allegations surrounding material which was published online. Charges against the 21-year-old English international, including attempted rape, assault, were dropped on the 2nd of February 2023. Greenwood, whose contract with Old Trafford runs until 2025, could now be sold or loaned to another club for the remainder of the season. He remains on full payment but will not return to training with United. Finally, from the football scene, Liverpool will appeal against Alexis McAllister's red card in the 3-1 Premier League win over Bournemouth. The Argentine midfielder, who is 24, faces a 3-game suspension after he clipped Ryan Christie's foot in the 58th minute at Anfield on Saturday. Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp said it was harsh and that his side have been punished enough by the dismissal. Liverpool were awarded a controversial first-half penalty when Joe Rothwell was adjudged to have fouled Dominic Szoboszlai. Both decisions were awarded by referee Thomas Bramall without interference from the video assistant referee, the VAR. Howard Webb, Chief Refereeing Officer for Professional Game Match Officials Limited, PGMOL, said last week that officials want to be the least interfering they can be. On the Premier League's opening weekend, Webb contacted Wolves to apologize after they were denied a late penalty against Man United when Andre Onana jumped into Sasa Kalajic. The Three officials at the center of the decision, Referee Simon Hooper, VAR Michael Salibri, and assistant VAR Richard West, were overlooked for the following round of fixtures. But that's it on sports. My name is Isaac.
Thank you, Isaac, for the sports stories. We move now to entertainment. This weekend, there will be no longer an eviction jury on the Big Brother Naija All-Stars reality show. This decision was taken less than 24 hours after Kidwire was sent home by a panel made up of Sasuke V and Izolonam. Kidwire became the third contestant on the show to be evicted by a jury following Princess and Uriel, who were sent home by different panels of ex-BB Naija housemates. The jury system of eviction has been greeted with controversy and criticism in the 3 weeks since it was used. Following this development, the organizers of the reality show will revert to the eviction of housemates based on votes from fans. Meanwhile, renowned Afrobeat artist David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, has revealed his intention to retire from the music industry before his popularity wanes. The multi-award-winning singer shared this insight during an interview video that was posted on Instagram by famous blogger and friend Tunde Ednot. Speaking about his greatest fear in his career, Davido stated that he does not want to get to a phase when people no longer go wild for his music. While noting that everybody goes through different phases in their career, he vowed to leave the stage when the ovation is loudest. Lastly in the news tonight, Nigerian celebrities and Burna Boy have shown support for their colleague Wizkid by paying tribute to his mother who died on Friday the 18th of August. Also, the famous singer David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, halted his performance at the Afro Nation Fest in Detroit, United States yesterday to pay tribute to Wizkid's mother, Jane Balogun. This comes after his initial condolence message via his Twitter account, where he prayed for his colleague, assuring him that his sadness would be healed as time goes by. And that's all we have for you tonight on the news at 9. Do well to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTv.ng. This has been Spectrum Television News at 9. I am Uyai Aneka, and thanks for watching, and do enjoy the rest of your night. Good night, Nigeria.